Momentum in mixed martial arts shifts so violently that a single tweet can upend years of silent respect. And over the last 72 hours, the sport's emotional Richter scale has barely dipped below 8. Beginning with a stinging message fired off by Khamzat Chimaev that detonated whatever fragile bond he once shared with Belal Muhammad and rippled outward until half the roster felt the aftershock. Consider the visual, a smiling snapshot from 2021. Both men in street clothes, arms linked and grins wide, once circulated as proof that two rising contenders, both devout, both vocal in their support for Palestine, could coexist in a Shark Tank. Yet now, the identical image resurfaced on Khamzat's feed with the minimalist dagger. He's crying again, instantly reframing brotherhood as betrayal and grinding an old friendship into tabloid dust. Because for Khamzat, every post is calculated warfare built to expose perceived hypocrisy. And Belal's recent vow to chase a middleweight belt just so he could test himself against Chimaev smelled, to Khamzat at least, like opportunism masquerading as respect. Fans flooded the comment thread, some siding with Belal by arguing that real brothers can scrap and hug afterward, others backing Khamzat's stricter code that once you label someone family, you don't publicly plan to snatch food off his plate, and the debate metastasized into a wider question about authenticity in a promotion where the line between camaraderie and self-promotion is thinner than the tape around a 4-ounce glove. While hashtags like NARS, Team Khamzat, and Bella Loyalty warred for real estate, the algorithm delivered a fresh sideshow from Las Vegas, where Colby Covington, never one to miss a microphone, stalked a celebrity poker tournament in pastel blazer and American flag lapel pin before locking eyes on Henry Triple C Cejudo, who was there in designer hoodie, sipping club soda and treating the night as an easy sponsor obligation until Colby leaned over the rail and unleashed a volley of jabs sharper than any he's thrown since the Usman trilogy talks collapsed, calling the Olympic gold medalist a retirement tour mascot and vowing to fold him like a napkin if he dared step onto a scale opposite him. Cejudo's eyes narrowed, his wrestling lineage bruised more than his pride, and he fired back that Colby's record was built on exhausted former champions and gift decisions, a claim that forced security to hover yet left cameras rolling because conflict sells. And within an hour, clips hit social platforms, racking views by the 100,000. The poker room's velvet ropes suddenly staged curtains for a potential bantamweight versus welterweight exhibition that nobody asked for, but everyone was ready to debate. Meanwhile, away from the neon buzz, Kamaru Usman sat in a sterile studio under white-hot lights and dissected Belal's upset loss to Jack Della Maddalena with the measured calm of a man who's held belts and broken orbital bones, explaining that contrary to trolls expecting him to pop champagne, he felt nothing but sober recognition of how unforgiving the throne can be, because champions know that one misread, like underestimating JDM's deceptively disciplined pocket boxing, can transform months of altitude sprints and dawn sessions into a single stumble replayed forever. Usman's empathy surfaced not as softness, but as wisdom. A veteran acknowledging that public failure can harden a fighter into steel or crush him into powder, and he worried for Belal's psyche, because ignoring Jack's compact feints and ignoring his own corner's warnings hinted at a fighter seduced by his own hype. Then, as if the MMA cosmos sensed an attention lull, Magomed Ankalaev blasted X with a bold claim that he'd signed a contract to meet Alex Pereira during International Fight Week, only for Pereira's camp to ghost him and blame a mysterious hack that posted bad grammar and deleted negotiations. Ankalaev laughed off the excuse, dubbing himself Hak Alev, in a sly dig that fans memed within minutes, splicing his stoic Dagestani face onto Guy Fawkes masks and Terminator endoskeletons. The joke carried teeth, though, because Ankalaev's undefeated aura and suffocating clinch game pose genuine nightmares for Pereira, who despite conquering 2 divisions still shows vulnerability to chain wrestling once opponents survive the opening salvo. And Ankalaev's playful jab doubled as a call-out stating he's ready for anyone, anytime, which forced pundits to scramble spreadsheets to see who in the top 5 is unscheduled and uninjured, while analysts speculated.
Agora passando tudo isso aqui, foi bem difícil. Eu acho que eu diria aí, foi camp mais duro aí que eu tive. Desde quando marcaram essa luta, eu estava no Brasil, né? Tive problema com meu visto, eu fiquei...
Robert Whittaker, himself no stranger to championship highs and surgical lows, fired up a telestrator on an Australian talk show and broke down exactly why Jack Della Maddalena's takedown defense looked a league ahead of what Belal expected. On frame 72, Jack's left foot pivots while Belal's level change is still mid-flight, creating an angle that forces Belal's shoulder line across his own center of gravity, and in the heartbeat where physics locks Belal's hips, Jack rips a standing switch, climbs to the underhook, hook and introduces a knee so fast fans needed slow-mo to see the impact bloom across Belal's ribs. Whitaker's tone bordered on academic reverence as he highlighted how JDM layers anti-wrestling into combinations, stiff-arming the collar tie before sliding a shovel hook up the chimney. And the insight left viewers reconsidering whether Jack's rumored meeting with Islam Makhachev is mismatch or masterpiece in the making. That looming superfight gained another stamp of legitimacy when Daniel Cormier weighed in from the UFC Apex, reminding listeners that Jack neutralizing a pressure wrestler like Belal is the perfect dress rehearsal for Islam's chain grappling PhD, but the trick, DC insisted, will be surviving second and third attempts because Islam rarely shoots naked singles. Instead, he corrals shins, torques ankles, and wraps a Dagestani handcuff faster than most men can blink. So if Jack's sprawls aren't linked to immediate pivots, he'll spend 4 rounds pinned against the fence hearing advice he can't execute. While technicians debated angles and underhooks, the emotional thermometer spiked again thanks to Jose Aldo's heartfelt letter. 11 vintage photos spanning WEC glories to Rio walkouts, each captioned with lines that felt like the final chapter of a warrior's diary. He whispered about empty hotel rooms at 4 a.m., where he'd wake in a cold sweat convinced he still had 5 pounds to cut, about the strange hush when a crowd's roar fades into tunnel vision just before the first punch lands, and about the realization during last week's weight cut that his toddlers no longer recognized the drained ghost staring back from the mirror. Aldo didn't say the word retired, but the tremor of goodbye was unmistakable, and veterans from Frankie Edgar to Renan Baron jumped online to salute a man whose leg kick arsenal once changed the meta of an entire division.
John Jones is probably watching this, so send him a message.
Hello, John. I have nothing against you personally, but I just think I'm better than you. I just know that I can beat you in a fight, so I'm coming for it.
Yet sentimental reflection lasted mere hours, because Tom Aspinall launched a vlog from a rain-soaked Manchester warehouse where he pounded mitts under flickering fluorescent lights and declared he was beyond bored of waiting for Jon Jones, branding his record-breaking 535-day interim reign bull, a hollow accolade he never wanted. The camera zoomed in on Tom's gloved fists, each knuckle a soft blue bruise, while he explained that an interim belt is meant to be a brief detour, not a hostage situation. And if the undisputed champ won't sign soon, he might chase fresh blood like Sergey Pavlovich or a cross-promotion spectacle, anything to prevent his prime years evaporating in contractual fog. His frustration resonated because fans remember the night he dismantled Marcin Tybura in under 2 minutes, a blitz of feints into a right hand that sounded like canvas splitting, proof that heavyweight evolution is accelerating and veterans can't outrun it forever. Jon Jones, nursing a torn pectoral, posted cryptic Bible verses in response but no dates, and rumor mills spun harder. All the while, a subtler storm brewed in the nutrition trenches after Jack Della Maddalena's coach, in a calm Australian accent, offhandedly told YouTube viewers that Belal's body was a different physique completely back in 2019 when he wasn't on juice, implying performance enhancers without ever dropping the 3-letter bomb. Within minutes, anti-doping watchdogs, ex-USADA officials, and armchair biochemists parsed before and after photos like detectives, measuring shoulder width and vein roadmap, while Belal's management issued a legal threat and insisted any changes were the product of altitude cycling and a plant-based macro split, not clandestine cycles. Yet the seed was planted, amplified by the fact that USADA's split from the UFC left oversight in the hands of a new partnership with drug-free sport, prompting questions about testing rigor and loophole margins, and the phrase "he wasn't on juice back then" echoed across forums with a life of its own. As accusations blossomed, an aging Chicago strength coach appeared on Instagram Live confessing he'd witnessed stacks floating through certain camps. Nothing fully illegal, he hedged, but gray zone boosters that sharpen cardio like black coffee laced with rocket fuel.
Like he just played his cards wrong with me personally. And you know, I'm 3 years from being a 40-year-old grown man. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, the press conference, going through the whole shebang with him.
And though he never named Belal, listeners stitched context clues faster than a quilting bee and concluded their own verdict, turning speculation into quasi-fact before sunrise. By afternoon, Belal found himself balancing a PR tightrope, defending lifetime clean tests while plotting a potential move to middleweight, because in fight promotion, negative press still draws eyeballs, and eyeballs pay mortgages. Far removed from courtroom threats, analysts kept rewatching the Belal JDM tape, noting how Jack's body shots landed as echoes rather than thuds, each one sapping explosiveness until Belal's signature chain wrestling looked like attempts swiping at fog. Whitaker circled a second on-screen moment at 3:41 of round 2, where Belal's shot stalled midway, and Jack exploited the pause to launch a short-range elbow that, if it had landed an inch higher, might have ended the night there. Technology slowed the clip to 120 frames per second, analysts overlaying skeletal lines to show torque pathways, turning a prize fight into biomechanics class. While the digital chalk dust hung in the air, the host of MMA Desk wrapped his nightly rundown by replaying that bizarre smartphone footage of John Jones, heavyweight GOAT, holding onto the waist of a friend's motorcycle ride while tugging his buddy's hair like reins, a clip that instantly birthed jokes about steed riding and midlife crises. Top fan comments highlighted everything from alleged rainbow symbolism to unresolved hair-pulling allegations, proof that in MMA even GOAT legends can't dodge meme culture. That comedic fade-out, however, belied the deeper undercurrent threading every story of the week. Authenticity, whether of friendship, of supplements, of retirement vows, stands on shaky ground when every phone doubles as a broadcast truck and every whisper can escalate into a trending hashtag before breakfast.
The chip on my shoulder, it just made me want to, it like sizzles me up, and it just pushes me like they're not talking about me. They still don't have my name in their mouth. They still don't, not mentioning my name, and it just pissed me off. And Sean Brady paid for that.
Working with Khabib the rest of the way, or it's kind of difficult, right? I mean, this one made sense because
Chimaev's accusation challenged the integrity of a bond he deemed sacred. Covington's casino theatrics blurred the boundary between genuine animosity and clickbait theater. Usman's calm assessment underscored how arrogance can masquerade as confidence but die the moment reality bites. Ankalaev's hack joke exposed how fragile negotiations can be in the public eye. Whitaker's microscopic breakdown showed that success is built on unglamorous repetitions fans rarely notice. Aldo's farewell reminded us even kings eventually bow to inner voices. Cormier's cautionary analysis warned that stylistic puzzles are more intricate than highlight reels reveal. Aspinall's impatience illustrated how legacy can wither in limbo, and doping whispers reminded everyone that human performance will always tempt chemical shortcuts. Stitch those narratives together, and you get a living ecosystem where reputation fractures faster than a metacarpal on a blocking elbow, yet also where redemption glimmers in every next camp, next headline, next octagon walk. Somewhere right now, a young amateur sweat under flickering gym lights, dreaming of one day stepping into this whirlwind, unaware that behind every belt ceremony lies a labyrinth of social leverage, psychological warfare, microscopic diet tweaks, and yes, the ever-present lure of shortcuts. Fans remain hooked because chaos keeps promises fresh. Any tweet could ignite the next super fight. Any handshake photo could morph into betrayal evidence. Any casual comment could spark a doping investigation. And any interim belt could transform from consolation prize to career-defining anchor.
One guy that keeps talking about you also is Ilia Topuria. Do you have a message for him? He really wants to fight you next year.
No, man. I'm tired to give chance the small guys, you know. I need to...
Depending entirely on whether paperwork crosses desks on time. The cage may lock two athletes inside for 25 minutes, but the wider arena, the swirling cloud of narratives, egos, algorithms, and ambitions, never closes its doors. And that perpetual motion is why you and millions like your click, comment, and linger for the next seismic jolt. So, when the lights finally dim and the mat sits silent, remember that silence is temporary, because even as arena staff sweep popcorn kernels into plastic barrels, phones vibrate, insiders text, rumors leak, and in some distant time zone, a contender glances at his reflection, wonders whether loyalty, legacy, or livelihood matters most, opens social media, and decides to type a single line that by dawn will rewrite somebody